Esteemed audience, over 500 schools across 10 regions. This is the show that gives intellectual students across various high schools the opportunity to air out their ideologies. This is a Great Debaters Contest Season 9. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. We are in Nairobi region, and in today's debate, we are looking at fairness and justice with the motion, reduced inequality is a myth that can't be achieved.
In the proposition, we have the lovely ladies from Moi Girls High School, Nairobi.
And in the opposition are the gentlemen from Sunshine Secondary School.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
Far and wide, we search for the unfindable. Given this oversimplified approach, the world can understand that the motion is unassailable. From the masters of intelligence, Moi Girls School, Nairobi, I, Lona Mukami, propose the motion that reducing inequality is a myth that can't be achieved. Defining the motion from the Oxford Dictionary, reducing means minimizing or making something less of what it is. Inequality, the unfair differences among groups of people. Myth or fallacy, a false belief. Can't, an auxiliary verb that means impossible and achieve to succeed in reaching a particular goal. We simplified our data into 3 categories: economic, social, and political inequalities. I will tackle economic. A nation will not serve morally or economically when so few have so much and so many have so little. Let's get things straight. 2 types of inequality: wealth inequality and income inequality. This is what majorly Africa suffers from. Let's take, for instance, South Africa. It is the most developed country, but still, it is the most unequal country. Let's take India. Let's go way border out of our continent. The richest 51% of India own 68.6%, while the poor on the other side of the pyramid jostles under 4.1% of the national's wealth. Why so? Don't they deserve equal? Don't they deserve the same? What difference do they have? Let's see it on a different aspect. Our economy in itself is inequality by design. Let's see the coastal region, especially Tana River, Kilifi, Kwale, have the most and the highest income inequality. 0.617%, 0.597%, and 0.65% respectively, using Gini coefficient is what the coastal region suffers from. Let's look at Trans Nzoia. It is a well and very productive region. But for the coast, we can see with this unequal distribution of resources in our country, one region suffers and the others prevail. Why so? As long as poverty and injustice prevail in the world, no one can rest to say that reducing inequality can be achieved. We elect hyenas to look after our goats, but when the goats are consumed, we wonder why. Let's use our leaders, for instance. Prominent leaders are advantaged with household allowances, car allowances, and all other privileges that the normal taxman pays for. Why can't I get the same privileges? Clearly, economically, we can never be the same. My school is a long gone road. And as we pass, we see the Chinese people and other contractors on that road. But what we see is very different than what we apply. We see that the Kenyans are the ones busy working and the Chinese giving instructions. Why do we empower another economy and leave our own? I will repeat and say, as long as poverty and injustice prevail in the world, no one can state that reducing inequality can be achieved. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to make your case.
Life, it's a process and not an event. But first, let me stress on the motion that I, Alawi of Sunshine Secondary School do strongly oppose that reducing inequality is a myth that can never be achieved. Reducing, as it has been said, is making something small, and never means not on any occasion. Well, just looking at our beautiful country that we're currently sitting and standing on, Kenya. Kenya has been able to reduce a form of inequality in the education sector. 1963, our beautiful country gains independence. Push forward, 20 years later, 1983, 26.27% of the national population had sat down in a class and attended a lesson. Through many processes and policies of our leaders, as His Excellency, the former President, Daniel Arap Toroitich Moi, who ensured that we are building many schools and started the initiative of constructing good schools. His successor, Mwai Kibaki, His Excellency, he introduced the policy of free education, and 2012, just 1 year shy of 50 years, we had a stunning 82.2% of students who had not only attended class, but finished and completed their primary education. These are not my words, but this comes from United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO Institute for Statistics. This shows that reducing, which is making small, the gap between inequalities is a reality and not a myth. Let us break our borders and go to China. Between 1980 and today, 500 million people have been lifted out of extreme poverty. That's 500 million. That currently translates to about 7% of the world population. How is this done? Through several processes, such as boosting industrialization, boosting exports. Currently, by 2012, only 6.5% of the national population was living in extreme poverty. Push forward, 6 years later, they had more than half this to 2%. And hopefully by 2020, they will have achieved SDG number 1 of no poverty. And this has also been done in many countries such as Cyprus, the Czech Republic, Finland, France, and Germany. Okay, you think that my thinking is far-fetched for looking at countries so far away, but let me go just to our immediate neighbors, Ethiopia. Ethiopia's progress in the economy has helped reduce poverty rates from 44 to 30% between 2000 and 2011. How is this a myth? And it has been done. Back again to my beautiful country, Kenya. In 2010, our parents voted for a constitution, voted that we should get a constitution, and this constitution was championing for bringing services for bringing services closer to the people. And our government devolved into 47 smaller governments, which have helped bring development all around the nation. Counties like Lamu are receiving 2.5 billion shillings just this year, and they did not have a road until next year when they'll get the road. Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
I'm sorry, my audience. It is just that I'm allergic to what my opponent has said. Let me enlighten you, or rather, let me break this down to your level of understanding. Inequality itself is unequal. Where do we even start? Our leaders, our political leaders, it is easy to forget that our leaders and waheshimiwa have been allegedly involved in the illicit drug trade. Of course, they are the leaders. They are our political leaders. What so if you were found in the same case? It is inequality. You'd be taken to court. You'd be fired. You'd be even deported. What about if it is a leader? The leader will just be taken round and round, and at the end of the day, the leader will sleep in his or her own house. Why so? It is because these leaders have, you know what Animal Farm says? Animal Farm says that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Do you think that it is fair for our leaders to be more equal than us, yet it is us putting them in the position they are? Last April, as the Chinese were constructing a certain road, the 4 Chinese men were arrested in Lodwar for allegedly assaulting a highway authority inspector. And after negotiations, they were released. This happened on May 22nd, an article written by Moses Nyamuri. It simply showed us that these Chinese men, after the negotiations, they were left free. Of course, if it were a normal citizen like you and I, let me tell you, my friend, do you know where you'd land? You'd land in the cell directly. If I look at that Chinese case, the next day, a man on the same spot was driving. You know what happened? This Chinese man was hit by an African driver. Do you know what happened to the African driver? I know you want to know what happened to him. What happened to him was that after 20 minutes, he was arrested. You know what, people? It really hurts me because that man was my uncle. And yet you're here telling me that inequality can be achieved. Inequality is a myth. Inequality is a dream that we will never wake up to reality. On the Standard Nation of the article written by the same editor, Moses Nyamori, he said that we have many leaders in our country. Look at the example of the former Deputy Chief Justice, Nancy Baraza. Nancy Baraza was fired just because of pinching a guard. Do you know what will happen to a higher person in authority? The person will be left to go scot-free. Why so? We have different roles in our society. Let me show you something, just a very easy illustration. Look at my fingers. You can't see them? Can you see them? Can everyone see them? They are all different, meaning that they have different roles to play in the society. We can never be equal, my friends. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
When I leave this world, I'll leave no regrets. I'll leave something to remember so they won't forget I was here. I sing a song that the Queen Beyoncé sang at the United Nations World Humanitarian Day when she was launching her campaign, one of her foundations to reduce inequality. By what? By providing medical care for women out there so that each and every woman out there can get an equal chance to, in terms of maternity care, that women out there can get free diapers for their children. So you can tell how unready, like I was not ready to listen to this amount of pessimisticness and I don't know, negativity. I was not ready, girl. When you tell me that Chinese are being empowered and Kenyans are not being empowered, let me tell you something. Let me take you to school, honey. This is what is happening. This can be reduced. The motion is reducing inequality is a myth, but this can be reduced. How can we reduce it? By empowering the Kenyan people, by encouraging like our own industries so that we can also fund the developments that we are having. I'm Carlton Jerry from Sunshine High School. There's this also other thing that she said, I don't know, inequality can be achieved. We already have inequality, and that is what we are trying to reduce. Let us look at the LGBTQIA community. Wow, controversial topic. Let me tell you, after Barack Obama spoke about the Yes We Can speech after his inauguration back in the days in 2012, there has been an increase of states that accept the LGBTQIA rights in the society. Yes, it is not everyone that will agree. Not every state has agreed, but still that one step that he made has been able to reduce the unfairness for people to love, for people to get their own rights to living. Let us look. The Repeal 162 did not pass, but let me tell you, after that, after it not being declined, there has been quite a rise in institutions and NGOs that are accepting and also helping the people of the LGBTQIA community in Kenya, such as the SOGI umbrella body that provides housing for people that have been rejected, counseling for people that have gone through trauma and all this. Is that not reducing inequality? I believe it is. I understand basic English. Well, let us look at let me take you to school, girl. So we have the Kenya Paraplegic Society, the Kenya Paraplegic Organization that is promoting for the students with special needs. You know, you might be living right now and then something unfortunate happens, you have a car crash on something, and then unfortunately you get paralyzed and you will not, in the old society, will not be considered equal as others. You will not get education just like others. But let me tell you something now. The Kenya Paraplegic Society is organizing that each and every student that gets through this may get a wheelchair and they're creating awareness that they're humans too. Let me even inform you, Hope on Wheels Walk, organized by the same foundation, is taking place on July. Can I give them this pamphlet so that they may attend and understand that we're reducing inequality?
The proposers have been asked to give examples that propose the motion that are from outside of Kenya. The opposers have been asked, with regards to the example that education is a way of reducing inequality, what do they have to say about schools where the school fees is higher than in others? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Thank you for the beautiful voice. But are you aware that Beyonce you're busy praising also launched a medical care for women? Why not for men? Gender inequality. To answer my question, inequality is affecting so many people globally. Let's picture a country such as Malawi. Malawi is being affected by gender inequality in the sense that if I am a girl and I'm being funded by my father to go to school, I can be sold off to my father's people because he's the one who's funded my education. It's affecting us globally in the sense that girls are being oppressed by the male gender. Lorraine Kerubo from Moi Girls School, Nairobi, here to talk about the social part of inequality and the gender inequality. The worst form of inequality is trying to make unequal things equal, because it can't happen. Us as Kenyans tried to make girl child match up to the boy child by creating funds in the UN, such as the Women's Fund. But did we care about the boy child? No, we did not. It got to a point that male artists had to use their voices to air out their grievances. We all know DJ Shiti, right? He brought out a song with Alivindo where he says about the boy child. In the song he says, mwanaume ni kuvumilia, mwanaume ni kupambana, kupambana na hali yake sikulia. What is it supposed to mean? You as a man, you're not allowed to air out what you feel. You're supposed to be bold enough because you are the major part of this world. We got to think so much about the girl child, we forgot about the boy child. And once you try to minimize one side of inequality, you promote the other. Hence, inequality can never be achieved. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they're not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King says, that was a dream, is a dream, and will forever be a dream if inequality is not going to be achieved. Trust me, 3rd April 2019, Al Jazeera reports that Moise Kean, a 19-year-old Italian who plays for Juventus, was a black man who scored a goal. Once he scored his goal, he was shouted upon and called a terrorist by the team's fans. And why was that done? Because of inequality. You cannot try to reduce something that is still growing. You cannot try and minimize something that is still being generated in this world. In 1981, an article was written by Mark Nohill. A French scientist has brought up a vaccine that was supposed to be used on apes concerning HIV/AIDS. But what did the man decide to do? Come and test it on Africans. Why? Are we still going to sit down and watch our Africans being used as testing monkeys? No, it cannot work like that. How much do you agree or disagree with my statement when I say women have equal opportunities as men in this society? We did our research according to Wikipedia, and we saw that 50% of Spain citizens promote this motion by saying that women do have an equal opportunity to men, but 33% do not propose. Why can't we have an equal opportunity? Brazil, 46% disagree to this statement, and 29% agree. Changing the mindset of a nation that is teaching children that women are inferior to men is impossible. Reducing inequality is a myth that cannot be achieved. Thank you.
Opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Thank you very much. My teacher once told me of a story of Peter Pan. Once upon a time, there was Peter Pan, and he taught me that this was a myth, if I may say. This was a myth, and one of the factors which make it a myth is the fact that we don't know whether it's true or false. Ladies and gentlemen, on stage is Edwin Shamia from Sunshine Secondary School, an antagonist to the motion that reducing inequality is actually a myth that can never be achieved. First of all, I'd like to start by answering the question. What we meant, and our research, is that countries have undertaken policies to reduce economic inequality. According to Haas Institute, Berkeley, Edu at Sixpo, we find out that increased minimum wages, expanding the earned income tax, building assets for working families, investing in education, making the tax code more progressive, and ending residential segregation are some of the things which they have used in top countries to reduce inequality. Therefore, what I am saying is not that education is not important, but we did not specify whether we are talking about education in school or education elsewhere. Remember, education is a continuous process, and therefore we want to create social awareness to the society by telling them that when you do this to this type of society, this is not something that has to be taught in school. I believe I've answered your question. First, to my first point, I want to state that this is a topic which needs to be taken delicately, not forgetting that SDG number 1, SDG number 4, SDG number 5 are all underlined by the SDG number 10, which is reduced inequality. Second of all, I'd like to underline the status of the motion. The motion did not tell us to stop inequality. It asked us to reduce inequality. And ladies and gentlemen, by a report by the UNESCO and UN joint report, it was more of a resolve in 1990, say that some of the conflicts Africa is facing is poverty and violation of human rights. As a result, years that followed, we had a tremendous decrease in violation of human rights, as per the report by the UN. Creation of institutions such as the UNIFEM, UNHCR. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, why are we turning a blind eye to the fact that reducing inequality is evident in our society? We have not been asked to stop inequality. We have been asked to reduce inequality. If you can check the statement, we have been asked to reduce inequality, and we will go wrong if we don't underline that statement. We all have dreams, and I have a dream. I have a dream to tell a story of the famous Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I have a dream to tell about the story of the famous George Padmore, Booker T. Washington. All these people whose efforts in attaining equality in terms of race have not been recognized by the society. Ladies and gentlemen, we are turning a blind eye. This is not a myth I tell, but you can all recall Nelson Mandela, a Nobel Prize winner, was able to solve the apartheid problem, which took over 70 years, my source being the KLB history. Ladies and gentlemen, we must not pretend that we are blind. Let us accept that reducing inequality is evident in the world. Thank you very much, Edwin Shamil.
Proposition, you have 1 minute for your final statement.
Thank you, but I think your pamphlet is kind of not held on to the motion because it's not talking about reducing. Mchimba kisima huingia mwenyewe. You've digged a ditch that you can't even fill up. So let us look at this in the religious perspective. Look at God. If he himself could not procure a punishment that could equalize man and woman, let me tell you, my friends, God created Adam and Eve, not Amanda and Steve. Gaffa and Gamma were not Ananias and Sapphira when they coined the adage that states, actions speak louder than words. You'd come here on the table and tell us that what you've done to reduce that inequality. Don't come here to give us facts. Education is not the learning of facts, but training the mind to think. Think about what you can do to reduce. Because as I'm seeing it in my perspective, in our perspective, in the scholar's perspective, reducing inequality on one side increases another type of inequality. If I came to this room with this pin pop, eating and addressing new people, what will you think of me? Of course, you'd say, this student from a girls' school, Nairobi, is quite indisciplined. What if a prominent person came here and addressed you with the same sweet? Of course, you'd say he's cool. He's cool eating the sweet. So, my friends, kindly have your pamphlet and spice up your facts with this sweet. Thank
you. Opposition, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
You might notice that I've removed my sweater and my jacket because the heat of this lies, I can't. So, I have come up with a quote that let our children never say that our world of impossibilities was built about by the silence of our forefathers. We have been told about Adam and Eve, but sorry, but I'm atheist and, yeah, judge me. Sorry, but I'm atheist and I'm not so sure about that. We need to be more radical as people. We need to be people that go out there. We need to be people that stand up. People that listen to Martin Luther King when he said that he has a dream. People that listen to Barack when he said that, yes, we can. Inequality can not only be stopped by the government. I can stop inequality. You can stop inequality. I need you and you to all hold up our hands so that we can have equality in the streets. We can have equality in the parliament. We can have equality ever. We cannot achieve that state of equilibrium, yes, but we know that it can be reduced. And one of the ways is funding to charitable organizations that are for achieving equality. And if you're not for that, well, we'll go on with the race without you. Thank you.
Reducing inequality is a myth that can't be achieved. This was an interesting motion. And I feel like both teams did justice to it. You brought on your best game, supported with facts and evidence and research. And I was thoroughly impressed by each of the speakers that took on a chance to just try and convince us to their side. That being said, Moi girls, I'll just speak generally. When the first speaker came on stage, of course, did her role, defined what this motion meant, but I liked that there was a sense of organization. You gave us like the blueprint of what's going to happen. The first speaker will tackle it on this angle. The second speaker will tackle this angle, and the third speaker this angle. That showed me that you had your plan well set, and you knew what you wanted to come and do, and you were sure you were going to convince us. Job very well done. Moving on to
Sunshine, the gentleman, Alawi, very good examples. I think you started your team very well. However, this is what I would say. You have two other team members that are very powerful in terms of style and presentation. You don't have to be like them. Everybody has their own way to do it. However, I feel like if you organize yourself better, you would have a powerful start. You understand that? So that even the others can pick up from there. Jerry, I think you're in your own world, which is a very powerful world. You brought out your A game, very passionate. I think that comes out very well. Nonetheless, one thing that you said, and it was a rebuttal towards the end, the 1 minute. You were trying to rebuttal a statement that I think they had quoted the Bible so, and you wanted to bring in the atheist example. I think you want to end it, okay? Because at some point you'll just cut it half, and then we're wondering, what do you want to say? Because you're very good, and so you want to compose yourself so that you say everything to the end of what you want to bring in. However, well done for your team. Shamia Edwin, excellent. I mean, the SDG examples, a very good speaker, and I love the voiced variations that you have as well. It is very powerful, and it is very commendable for your team. All the best to both teams. We were impressed.
Down to the numbers. Moi Girls, Nairobi. The judges awarded you 72%. Let's give them a round of applause. Sunshine Secondary School. The judges awarded you 72%, 0.8, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to Sunshine Secondary School, to Moi Girls. Congratulations for the fiery debates that you've given us today.
Remember, esteemed audience, the conversation still goes on with the hashtag GDC for SDGs as we still continue the conversation on sustainable development goals.
We would also like to appreciate all the stakeholders of this show, the schools, the patrons, principals, and even participating students. Do remember that we have not forgotten all the efforts that you put into this. I have been your host, Esperancia Kapanga.
And I am Chris Boru. Till the next episode.